Okay, we have a lot of pieces for this project. So we're going to take this just step by step, and we're going to start with the background, and I've given you the canvas board and some scrap paper, which will end up being the wallpaper and the table that the fishbowl is going to be sitting on. And then you've got your fishbowl, and we're going to cut paper, the blue paper, so that it looks like water. And then we are going to paint a fish or two and cut them out to be the fish in the bowl, obviously. Okay, so we're going to take this just one step at a time. And for the first step, we're going to work on the background. And I have put a little bit of white glue and mixed in just a few drops of water. And what we're going to do is paint the background, get all the way up to the edges with that glue. Now you're going to have to work quickly or else it will start drying. So if you want to just do, like, you know, the top where the wallpaper is going to be, you can do that. Or if you're moving quickly enough, you can do the whole thing. And then we'll put the paper. Now, an alternative is that you put the glue on the back of the paper. I was just thinking with this nice solid canvas board here, it might be easier to put the glue on that. And then you're going to take your scrapbook paper that's been pre-cut for you, and you want to work from the inside out, smoothing as you go along. You might have to do a few places where on the edges it wants to stick up. But that's the first piece. Move. And then we're going to repeat. Get that paper right up there. When you're happy with how it lines up, then start in the middle and go out. Sort of like wallpapering. There we go. And keep working out. If you have any air bubbles, just keep working that out. Put a little bit of pressure on it. There we go. Okay, now we're going to set that off to the side. So it will, I see as I put it over that one of my top corners, check your corners, and we can check it again once it dries too. Okay, so now we're going to work with our fish bowl. Okay, and what I'm going to do is take the black Sharpie and go around the lines and the edges so it sticks out visually. So just trace as close to the edge as you can on that. If you get in a little bit too far, you can always take your pair of scissors and trim that up. I'm going to adjust this so you can see a little bit more of my workspace. There we go. Okay. Now we are ready to work on our, and hold on just a moment, I need to go grab my scissors. I left them on another table. Okay, so what we want to do is just take a pencil and kind of go around the outside of your fishbowl with that pencil, and that's going to give us an approximation of the size that we want. Now, we don't have to make this match exactly with the size of our blue paper of the water, and then you can do the top of it so it sort of echoes this. Okay, and then we're going to cut, and again, it can be, you know, smaller if you want it to be. You can make it look more whimsical. And that way, if you've got white sticking out around the water, that's fine. And what I'll do is give it this cut first, and then place it on and see, I need to cut it down a little bit because it's too big. So I'm just going to go around and cut it down a little bit so that the water is inside the bowl rather than on top of it. Okay, so I've got some white over here, so just to make it look a little more even, I'm going to cut this side down a little bit. There, so we've got a little bit of white all around. Okay, so again, I'm going to go back to my glue, and this time I am going to put it on the back of this paper. Just take your paintbrush, move that glue around, get up to the edges, move it down just a little bit. And then again, start from the center and move out. Okay. So next we're going to do our fish. So for the fish, we need a pencil, some watercolors, or if you want to use, you know, crayon or marker, that's fine. But we're going to draw the fish, and so we want to kind of gauge how big our fish should be, and you can have a couple of smaller ones if you want. You can do that. And to draw our fish, goldfish are really very simple to draw. You do it like this. And you go like that. And you make your tail. Okay? And then you can, I'm going to make mine smiling. Then I'm going to see guess maybe I'll give him a buddy. Just a small one. Now, so you can make sure that then we're going to take our black Sharpie can put some fins there. The one there. Okay, so I'm going to pause for just a second and get the rest of my watercolor supplies ready. All right, I've got all my supplies, and for this, obviously, you don't need a very big brush. I'm going to get one that's a flat one. I seem to do better on painting with flat brushes. And I'm going to start out with an orange and then layer some red over that. Careful to leave the white around the eye. Now, you can paint this however you want. These are just my choices. And it's okay if you get outside of the line. I'm going to cut these out anyway, once they're dry. Okay, and then I'm going to add some of this deep red to it. Just to get a little bit more of a reddish orange. And then I'm going to add more red. And then I'm going to use a slightly different color of red for this little guy. Okay, now we'll let those dry, and while we're doing that, clear out some space here. Told you this had a lot of pieces, but it's coming together nicely. Okay, I did end up with some bubbles. All right, so now we want to get our glue back. Now you notice this is curling a little bit, and so what we might have to do when we're finished with this is put it under a book or something heavy to get it to flatten out and to stay put. And we want to make sure that it sits down so it doesn't look like it's teetering on the edge. And we're going to hold that down. Press that out. All right, then we're going to let that off to the side. I'm going to carefully cut out a little fish. We can get rid of some of this excess paper, and that'll make it easier to cut out. And then just carefully go along the outside of your black lines. We have to be careful that we don't cut that tail off. However, if you do, no big deal. We'll just repair it when we glue it on. This one might be a little trickier. Notice that I'm moving the fish. Ooh, that got close. That got close. In retrospect, I probably should have made that a little thicker when I was drawing the fish. Whew. All right. Okay, so now you get to decide where you want your fish to be. I would suggest if you did a big one and a little fish like I did, that you put the larger one down towards the bottom of the bowl and the smaller one up. It's just usually the way the weightier, heavier things visually should be down at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to put our glue on the fish, being careful with the tail pieces. And I'm going to put him just a little bit of an angle. Press it down nicely. And I'm going to put this feller at a little bit of an angle too. All right. Now, if you want to paint on some bubbles, or you can use a black marker, you could cut out little round hole bubbles if you want. You can embellish it however you like. Hope you enjoyed our cutting and gluing and painting project.